Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Canned Air, your tribute to pop culture. I am Jeremy Colley.
And I'm Jack Doherty.
And our guest today is a writer, producer, actor, and author who has been in projects like Pretty Woman, Battlestar Galactica, Dexter, NCIS, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Catch Me If You Can. The list just keeps going on, right, man? I mean, the IMDb goes back some time. But he's probably best known as portraying Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, in the unreleased 1994 Roger Corman Fantastic Four film. We welcome Alex Hyde-White to the show today and had a great conversation with him, I thought.
It was absolutely a great conversation.
Yeah.
It was such a treat getting to see him. I mean, after being in the original Fantastic Four and then getting his cameo and then...
In First Steps, yeah.
Yes.
It's so cool how Marvel did that. But, you know, we're not going to sit here and tell that whole story. Well, that's going to be talked about in the episode. But, yeah, very rewarding episode. I don't think we've ever had a Reed Richards on the show, have we?
Nope.
And not only did we get a Reed Richards, we got, like, the Reed Richards.
Right,
like,
yeah.
The OG, the one who had to, like, hand it off to Pedro Pascal. Like, that's pretty freaking cool. And on top of that, he's just a great dude with lots of great stories. And this episode was not only like entertaining to hear some of those stories, but also I thought very educational to me. Just kind of the way he looked at some of the things in his life, perceived some. I don't know, just thinking in ways I would never think, which has me really intrigued to read his book. But maybe we're saying too much here. Maybe we just need to let the conversation speak for itself. So, without any further ado, here is our conversation with Alex Hyde-White. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Hyde-White. Alex, thank you so much for taking time to be here tonight.
Hey, guys. Thank you for having me.
I like starting these things with finding out where you guys came from. And what I've read is you were born in London, but grew up in Palm Springs. Both your parents being actors, Ethel Drew and Wilfred Hyde-White. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about your growing up with two parents who are actors and how that then influenced you to become an actor.
Right. Well, it happens a lot. It happens a lot in England. You know, Saoirse Ronan, for instance, her father's a Welsh actor and her mother was an actress. You know, it's, if you want to be a vampire, then it's really it's helpful to be born into a vampire family. It's a tribe. It's a craft, but it's a craft that brings with it the sort of occasional lapse into inactivity and boredom. So in England, the stage is really where most actors, aspire to, and then certainly as training and whatnot. And then, even Daniel Craig, for instance, started at youth theater and get that discipline, which is really important when you get out into the world of film and TV, where you really have to manage yourself. You're a sole proprietor. It's like you're a small business owner trying to manage your time and talent. So growing up on both sides of the family with that as an influence, it prepared me, but it also, in a way, made me sort of ineligible to do anything else in a funny sort of way. My dad was a very dry wit, a wonderful light comedian, light drama, and he was an older fella. 56 when I was born. He was born in 1903, wow. For crying out loud.
Wow.
George Bernard Shaw would come to guest lecture at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art when he was there as a 20-year-old. And he said he was there for 2 years. He said he learned two things. The first year he learned he couldn't act. And the second year he learned that it didn't matter. So, therein lies the sort of reality of pursuing a career in acting. When I say acting, I would say the creative arts, but there are all sorts of creative arts, musicianship, writing, directing, which requires a lot of work outside the lines, so to speak. My mother was a stage manager. She acted a bit as a young person, but was never really a professional actress. Was more of a stage manager, and so that that worked out rather well until it didn't in the mid 70s. And I was a smart young boy. I got through high school in Palm Springs pretty quickly. Got through school. I mean, they pushed me ahead. Must have annoyed the heck out of the teachers. They pushed me ahead 3 grades until somebody said, "Wait a minute, stop." And I don't think you would do that these days with a kid. And so I was out of high school at age 16, and I've sort of been, I don't know, chasing fame in a funny sort of way ever since. And now that I've left Hollywood, I did my 40 years in Hollywood. I got out finally in good behavior. They let me out, and I'm living in the Panhandle in Florida. And what with the remote nature of casting and production these days, I find it very freeing. Logistically, it's difficult to live in Los Angeles. It's such a massive area, but it's still a beautiful place. I go back quite often. So I think we all live our childhoods out almost for our whole life. Even if people I know, a lot of them are actors, they strenuously deny, or they've buried or tried to compartmentalize their childhood for obvious reasons, whatever. But we're all influenced by the way we grew up. We're natural people, especially if you want to be an actor. The more natural you can be in terms of understanding how you react to the world around you. That is really the main thing. And that's what resonates with audiences. And then if you can react in an organic and natural way to your surroundings, whether it's, the Western Plains 1820 or, the atmosphere of Mars in 2220, humanity is humanity. Influences are pretty much consistent. It's the way you react when you're acting, particularly on film and TV, that engages the audience. And, and that's where good and bad can come in handy, So I think what I'm saying in code is I had a a truncated childhood. Certainly when I was younger, it was fun, Little League Baseball and working at Angel Stadium and living in Palm Springs in the late 60s and 70s. Was a little desert hamlet. But then my adolescence was rather challenging. Parents split up and boo-hoo, boo-hoo. And I sort of took refuge in my own trajectory. So obviously, as you can tell, I don't get to talk about my parents too much because I go on far too long.
No, I'm enjoying every minute of it. That's the thing, man. You can't find a whole lot about it out there, especially everything you're giving us. So it's good to know because you never, I don't know, coming up with like my dad, for example, a mechanic, and he's always trying to instill that into me. And though I did pick stuff up, it was kind of reluctantly, I kind of didn't want to follow in those footsteps just because that's what my dad was doing. I didn't know if there was ever anything like that with you. Like, I don't want to be an actor because that's what my folks were doing, but it doesn't seem that way.
When I came to my senses and I realized I was out of high school at 16, and of course I was smart. I got into Georgetown University, and that was such a good school. I learned everything I needed to know in 1 year and got the heck out. So I was done at age 17. So what am I going to do? You're either going to sell real estate or something which is far more unregulated. And, there's or work in a restaurant or something. And all things I later did. I mean, I'm a pretty good cab driver in my downtime and whatnot, but it just so happened that Universal Studios was hiring boys to fly jets in space for Battlestar Galactica. And I found myself on the set of the pilot because my dad and Ray Milland were playing the head of the Council of 12 in the pilot.
Wow.
And my agent called up and said they wanted to see me at casting and they needed people to start working basically next week. And they hired me, put me under contract.
Wow. So
it was a lucky break. And I would not have got that lucky break had I not sort of suffered the sorrows of my adolescence, so to speak,
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. That's incredible, though.
I wrote, part of it motivated me to write my book. A couple of years ago, called In the Volume, which is a wonderful phrase for digital filmmaking. It's like being in the shot. And I wrote about fairly chronologically, thanks to IMDb. I can see where I did that project then, and you just go down. You write 500 words for everything. Before you know it, you've got 400 pages, and says, "Oh my God!" But it's a lot of true stuff in there in terms of it's the ups and downs. If I was a mountaineer or a successful mountain climber, actually, I'd have the pictures of the 6 or 7 peaks in my office, but I'd have the stories of the work and the failure and the mishaps and the near-death experiences that I'm dramatically analogous to an acting career. But, you have the slides and the ups and the downs. And that's what I found was very interesting to me about writing. The movies Pretty Woman and Catch Me If You Can and Indiana and Fantastic Four, all these things, they speak for themselves in the sense that, okay, that's where the flags are planted in my life, the peaks,
Sure.
And ramping up to that, following that's to me was very, I suppose, cathartic would be the easy way to say, but it sounds like a weak word. If something's cathartic, it means you had trouble experiencing it, and but it was satisfying going through all of that. And people who have read it, fans of pop culture, movies, or even just an actor's life. It's not a celebrity kind of admittance of trauma like some of the books, but it's an accurate retelling of my life, which I felt was uniquely interesting because it sort of spanned a wonderful era of American pop culture. I mean, Ronald Reagan was the first election I voted in at age 21 in 1980. And here I am, I'm still voting for Ronald Reagan, only he's not on the ballot anymore 50 years later. But, so, the more things change, the more they stay the same. I've stayed the same, but I've evolved, matured, and I'm able to reference experiences that I had when I was younger that I really didn't understand how special and wonderful they were.
Right.
And so it's great to look back and impart that.
Sure.
I mean, I knew when I was running around the Panathenaic Stadium recreating the first modern Olympics, which is a recreation of the 1896 Games. And this was 1983 in London and Athens, where we filmed. David Caruso became a good friend, Hunt Block, Jason Connery, Matt Frewer. We were all like our first jobs almost. We knew at that time that it was a standalone, one-off kind of experience because we were recreating history, and you don't always get that. So we knew that was a peak experience. But, suddenly, you sort of think they're all going to be like that, and they're not. Right. They're like relationships, they're some of them are, Nick Taylor, and some of them are Taylor Swift.
I came back around.
Wow.
Well put. And I got to say, you just obliterated all my questions about your book, but it sounds interesting as hell. I would love to read it. I was curious, though. I'm always curious when someone writes a memoir, like what it was that made you decide to do it when you did it. Why not earlier? Why not later? What about the time told you it was right?
Yeah, well, for a while there, I had a spate of jobs, sort of small parts in big movies, and they would last 3 or 4 days, And the first one was playing young Sean Connery in Indiana Jones, Last Crusade. I was 30 years old. And Harrison Ford was there. He wasn't working, but I went up to say hi, introduced myself, and he said, when he was a kid, starting out, a young actor, he was under contract at Columbia, and he was on a call sheet. My dad was on some movie or some show that he said when he was on the call sheet with Wilfred Hyde-White, he felt special. And here I was on the call sheet with Harrison Ford.
Wow. And
the producer of the movie, an Englishman, said to me, and one day Harrison Ford's son will be on a call sheet with you, So that kind of frames things. But that was a 3-day job, punctuated with the work with River and Stephen, and the indelible memory that I just wanted to base that recollection on. And that was the first time I'd really written down an episode of my life, was when I was sitting with Spielberg, and this was when 89. So, how was he 40 years old, 36, 38 years old.
Right.
And we're sitting on director's chairs, just the two of us. We'd already done the shot on me with the by the window, Junior, count to 20. It's in the beginning of the movie. And we were waiting, and I realized the star of this shot is 96 million miles away, and it's going to be setting in about 6 minutes. So we were sitting waiting for the sun to get in this perfect Alamosa, Colorado plain position. And about 2 minutes, we were talking about Close Encounters and just lovely movie stuff. And then all of a sudden he said, Freddie Francis, a famous cameraman, or David Tringham, the famous AD. Okay, we got about 3 minutes to shoot this. Otherwise, we're back same time tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
And
Man.
that was what was important to him. Okay?
Yeah.
And again, you can't get more natural and organic than that, right?
Right.
And so I realized that, and I wasn't surprised by it, but I was reminded of how important it was to be joyous, or to seeking the joy, but recognize when you found it. And so when we got that shot, when the sun was setting, I think as they're now riding into it is probably the end of the movie. Then, the whole crew went home happy, and that was a happy memory. And I wanted to remember that. And then I bracketed the story with River, and he had a friend up there, and I think he just turned 17 or something, and the drinking age in Colorado was 18. And he asked me, I said, you want to go get some Mexican food tonight? There's, Alamosa, Colorado. There's 3 places, and 2 of them closed at 8. So, he said, yeah, can I bring my friend? Yeah. And he said, would you buy us some beer? And yeah, so, we got a 6-pack of beer. And so I had beers with River. Little did I know that, he was going to, leave us the way he did. But
such an unfortunate
it was an innocent time, and it was a wonderful experience for me. And I put that down, and I started writing others. And then when the summer of 2020 and 21 came around, there was precious little to do, really. And that was a time to clean out your storage area, And in California, it was wonderful. They sort of paid us exorbitantly, because it was an election year, to stay at home. And so the unemployment was doubled. And I have an audiobook business, so you get a business loan just for filling out a piece of paper. And I go, oh, this is all right. And I just took that time, and I started sort of expunging my memories, putting down my stories. And they're framed that sort of same way.
Sure.
The story is my 3 days with Spielberg on Indiana Jones, but it's really about the setting sun and River Phoenix and riding a horse and making a friend, that kind of thing.
Sure. Absolutely. It's an incredible profession to be in, acting. I can only imagine, because, there are people who work 40, 50 years at the same job, and, when it's over, have maybe a small handful of stories, where, acting can be quite the opposite end of that. You work 3 or 4 days on a project, and you've got some stories that people want to hear for the rest of your life. It's incredible.
If you're lucky. Look, talent is the ability to get work, and it comes in all shapes and sizes. There's people who spend their whole careers in Hollywood, and they become very good at commercials or soap operas or industrials, or even kind of more nefarious films that used to be made in the Valley, kind of thing. And to them, it's all equal. Stardom is stardom. Okay.
Sure.
Ego is it's very easy to fill your ego with stuff if you're being attended to, if people are paying attention to you, and that's where bad behavior comes in. But to sort of live a life of random, unexpected blessing, and to have under that heading, what do you mean? Okay, I mean Steven Spielberg on Catch Me If You Can, Steven Spielberg on Indiana Jones and Tintin. I mean Julia Roberts and Gary Marshall and Richard Gere on Pretty Woman. I mean running around the Pan Athenaic Stadium. I mean playing a Navy flyer in Top Gun for TV, and all of these different kind of, I've just had many different uniforms, but I've been playing the same game in a way. And I've always felt myself as a never really, I've been rostered, but I've never really been a starter on a long show. I've been in some series, but it's not like I've been married to the soap opera or everything, where it's very little a difference perhaps to the work ethic you describe. You work 40 or 50 years, and you got one really good stories to talk about, and that's fine. I've been involved in just wonderful random moments, and many of them resonate with an audience because it involves digital media that we've grown up with, or either nostalgic about, or we want to, if we're younger, we want to pursue the same sort of career. There's no shortage of I don't know, sort of hero worship when it comes to people who we see on film and TV.
Oh, right. Tell me.
And on the other side, there's a responsibility to deserve it, to be worth it. Not that anyone should look to me as a hero, no more than anyone would say, "Wow, you've survived. You're in your mid-60s. You're in pretty good shape. You're still doing what you're doing. How does that feel?" To which I say, I'm inspired. I'm completely inspired. The recent press we've been doing for Fantastic Four, some of them really nice. New York Times and Vanity Fair. He asked me at the end, he said, "How does it make you feel? That the Fantastic Four that we did has sort of been honored again and all that bit," looking for a comment like, "It's about time, suckers," or whatever.
Sure. And
my answer to that is, makes me feel inspired. I want to keep doing it.
That's awesome. And a great answer. And it's funny, you mentioned that film, the original Fantastic Four. I just was online the other day, or not the other day, yesterday. I was trying to look it up on YouTube because for years it's been available on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore. Within the past year, it has been pulled down. And
that's what I've gathered. Yeah, well, it was forgotten. It was forgotten and disowned for 33 years. In the last 2 years, all of a sudden, it's not forgotten anymore. Now it's been officially recognized as in our little cameo for First Steps, which is very nice of Marvel. But this is the new Marvel. It's not the new Marvel. It's been 15 years since they took over or whatever. But this is Marvel that is run by it seems to be a really together group, and they're influenced. I think exactly what we were talking about. If you're fortunate enough to achieve this peak status where people look to you, and you can show that you deserve it, and you're worthy of carrying that mantle, then you deserve to succeed. And I think that's exactly what the management of Marvel are up to right now. I was in LA last week, and we toured the Marvel campus at the Disney lot, which is like going through it's like going through a fan convention almost. They got props and artwork, and it's really cool. But they were friendly. Yeah, and I found that no longer can you find our little bootleg movie on the web, and for years it was easy to find. So maybe that means that they think it might have some value. They're going to if it's ever made available to see again, maybe it will be under the aegis, under the direction of Marvel itself, which would be great. I mean, why not?
That's what it makes me think. Why would it be left untouched, just left for everyone to see for years, and then all of a sudden when this newer film's coming out, be pulled? That's exactly what I think. Someone's finally saying, "Hey, let's get this thing released," or maybe it, special features on the
or make sure no one ever sees it again. Yeah.
I don't know, man. It would be easier just to ignore it. I think the fact that somebody went and claimed copyright, took it down, they've got some plans for it. I would have to imagine. Of course, I don't know anything, but
who owns YouTube? Does Google own YouTube, or does Disney own YouTube?
I don't know. I read online. Go ahead.
I feel like Google does.
Google.
I'm not sure though. Yeah.
Or
Is
Facebook,
that right?
maybe. Meta. Somebody. I mean, there's only 3 companies in the world now, aren't there? My Lord.
Right.
It's like that Tom Cruise movie, artificial intelligence. Everything's a corporation now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but whoever owns it, but you know what? Look, I mean, these things are behemoth companies, and they move at a snail's pace. But this is somebody actually focusing on this singular asset, this singular digital product,
exactly,
and going through the motions and of flagging it and taking it down. So that's cool. Hey, you've made it when you're banned.
That's it. Yeah.
I can't wait till I get banned. Hopefully one day. So leading up to the production of the 94 film, Fantastic Four, had you any real knowledge of the characters? Had you come up on comic books at all?
Well, I remembered the Saturday cartoons. Things,
sure.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
I was a Johnny Quest fan when I was a kid growing up, and Ray Spanion, and somebody, his dog Bandit, and these characters of sort of just kind of funky. I guess it was 60s, early 70s, so bell bottoms and the Starsky and Hutch vibe.
Yeah.
And they go out, and before you know it, they're like Jules Verne in an underwater submarine, or they're just MacGyver-like solving these problems. And it was a great, fun cartoon. And so that's, I was influenced. I mean, I really liked that. And I figured Fantastic Four was kind of similar. I didn't know too much about it. But it just so happened that the timing of it in my life and career with when they wanted to make this little movie. And that same sort of dynamic that I was explaining earlier, as I was a smart enough kid to get out of sort of forced education early. And I'm sure the administrators and the teachers were happy to sort of set me at large in the free world. But I was always instilled with a sense of wonder and a desire to learn, you see, because I didn't really learn that much. I learned, like my dad with acting school, that it didn't matter whether he learned it or not. It didn't matter whether I had a good education, because life was giving it to me. And so those qualities, when I've been acting for 10 or 12 years, had a few good jobs, done a Roger Corman movie, understood the technical demands of, don't ponder too much, don't ask any questions, just, be responsible. And because they're probably looking to you to solve their problem, those things were like perfect for Reed Richards.
Yeah.
And so the part was good to me. I was good to the part, and it felt effortless. And it was a wonderful experience. And the fact that it just, keeps getting better and better with age is something that never happens. I mean, that doesn't happen. I mean, there can be movies. I was in the movie Ishtar, which at the time, and even in my book, was referred to as rat shit spelled backwards.
Yeah.
But I was talking to Julian Schlossberg, who is a former film exec who does a show a few months ago. Great friend and confidant of Elaine May, is the great Elaine May. And he said that that movie Ishtar is now being looked at as a sort of a lost comedy classic, vouched for by none other than Marty Scorsese, things like that. And which is crazy, because I remember seeing it. I was on location in a TV movie in a miniseries up in Toronto when the movie came out, and Warren had a relationship with the Toronto theater owners. So we had a sneak of Ishtar. And this was, I don't know when, 1987 maybe. And it was funny as hell. I thought, my God, this is a funny movie. It was crazy that it came out. So that's an example of a film that was actually pretty good. It was just misrepresented at the time. And so that
wrong timing for it, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Heaven's Gate. I don't know if we live another 60 years, maybe Heaven's Gate becomes a good movie, but you know what I'm saying. But for our Fantastic Four to never have a chance for anybody legally to see it, yet to sort of marinate, like a tough piece of meat. If you marinate it long enough, it becomes edible. Right. Then, that's our movie. And that's a singular, that's a singular feat in the annals of filmdom.
Sure. And that's kind of what I was going to ask you, is that, of course, great disappointment when you guys originally learned this film isn't coming out. But like you just said, had the years to sit and marinate and, get this cult following and probably get, I don't know, way more attention than a marketing team could have paid for as a result. I mean, I remember hearing about it and then seeing it like on a bootleg table at a con, and that's, where my intrigue started. Yeah. And then, has led to so many cool things, not, including your guys' cameo in Fantastic Four First Steps, which had to be incredible. So I'm curious how you feel these days about that movie not being released in 94. Do you still wish it would have been, or like as a result of everything that's happened, are you happy that it wasn't released yet?
Well, yeah, no, I was happy that it really wasn't released at the time, because even then, the stakes were quite high when you, as an actor, when you'd get a break and you take a lead in a film, if the film didn't succeed or was a critical failure, it was such a small industry that it would take no time at all for people to say, "Oh no, he can't open a movie." Or, nowadays, if a young actor gets a break, Austin Butler or somebody who's a very talented guy, or the Hemsworths, or Bradley Cooper, even,
Sure.
you get a break in a movie, and if it's not a hit, the first Jeremy Renner, if it's not a hit the first time, it's like there's more value now to the fact that they were a star in a movie that got a lot of publicity. So now their value as a marketable name actor is established, and they get a couple more chances, okay? Right. And then before you know it, they're in the right vehicle, or a Timothée Chalamet, something like Dune, and then before you know it, you're the biggest star and you're getting nominated for Oscars. It seems like it can happen so quickly right now because there's so much work, so much opportunity, and there are very few leading male and female actors that it's almost like being a professional baseball player at the peak of your career. If you're not on a good team and you're still a good player, you've got a future. And when I was coming up, the jobs weren't as easy to get, and they were far fewer. And I always felt that there was a lot of pressure on an actor getting a break. For every, Tim Hutton, for instance, Ordinary People, Tom Cruise, Taps, Sean Penn, Ridgemont High. These are examples of kids who broke through, but it was really risky business that made Tom Cruise a star. Very much also dependent on the director and the quality of the film, which was a little iffy when it came to Roger Corman, only because it was a Kobayashi Maru with Roger, or a double-edged sword. You got to play a big part. I got to play big parts in his films, but the films themselves had a short shelf life because they were supposed to be cheap. Okay, they were supposed to be fodder for drive-ins and DVDs, which again now would be completely, because look, what must be fodder for what? For streaming or for YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay. And we all see, we got so addicted these last few years, entertainment wise, or what's a show? And we end up, watching, once you've watched Friday Night Lights from the beginning to the end over, you go downhill from there. Right. And so, you end up watching this stuff and you accept storytelling quality that might be not, it's easy to say, oh, that's not the good, but if you're entertained by it. And so anyway, I think the stakes were a lot higher then. It certainly felt that way. And had that film come out and achieved, and had been derided or made fun of, I don't think that would have done my career as an independent action leading man. I don't think it would have been hard for me to get another chance for a while. I would have had to sit in purgatory. But it's nuts. Revenge is, what is it? Revenge is a dish better served cold.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That it is.
Which is probably the quote the Vanity Fair guy was looking for last month.
No doubt. So then can you talk about the MCU bringing you guys in for your cameos on Fantastic Four First Steps? Can you talk about, how they got a hold of you and your experience on set?
Yeah, well, Rebecca Staub, who was our Sue Storm, she's a real professional actress. She does a lot of half Canadian. She does a lot of TV movies and stuff. And, she's sort of strapped to the mast of Hollywood. She's chasing fame, a nice gal. And so, she apparently, she and her manager had this idea. And they came to the casting directors to say, hey, we're four of us, we're still alive, and we did this movie. And casting didn't really know what they were talking about. And they, they were nice to her. But they basically said, well, no, this movie's cast. Lovely to meet you. And a few months later, she got a phone call. She got an email. And then she alerted the other three of us, says, hey, Marvel is going to call. And one of the producers, Grant Curtis, called, and it was April 1st, I think, or, it was like a great April Fool's joke. But on April 3rd, I think Grant actually called me from his office. I'm just going back to my office. I go, where are you? And he says, actually, I'm in Pinewood. And I said, of course they're in Pinewood. They're finishing the movie. And I said, Mag, that Pinewood has the best desserts in the best dessert commissary in the history of filmdom. He said, damn, you're right about that. I've gained 10 pounds. So we got along pretty well after that. And they came to us with a mission. They came to us on a mission to include us in the final cut of First Steps, which was, still a couple of months from being assembled. They were just finishing some filming, and they really didn't know what. They said to me that we want you to be like this Walter Cronkite newscaster with gravitas. And I go, okay, I can do that. Well, apparently they said the same thing to Michael Bailey Smith, who's 6'5", and they said the same thing to Rebecca, who can play a newscaster. And so that was all they could really say. They didn't really know. And we about a month later, we were on the set for an afternoon down in Manhattan Beach, and they had the press, their B-roll, their marketing people cover us, interview us, really embrace us as being part of the family. Yeah. The First Steps being a family film. And we filmed, and they gave me 9 pages of newscaster dialogue, some of it really rather silly, and some of it rather grim. And we are now wondering, are the Fantastic Four still able to protect us? Kind of thing, right? 9 pages of that. And so I thought, okay, 9 pages of that. And they ended up using, 3 lines, and putting Jay and Michael and Rebecca, the other 3 of us, in a little sort of postcard up on a screen. It wasn't really about, I think they just really felt guilty. Again, I think I have this ability since an early kid to inspire confidence and sort of fear at the same time. And so after reaching out to me and having this lovely connection, and basically, I think I sort of set myself up for, you better fucking use me in this movie, Yeah. And it so happens that they did have this need for a newscaster, but they also hired other newscasters to do this. But they said they didn't really like all. Anyway, so they found a moment within the 2-hour film, which is, it moves along. There's no fat in the movie, so I'm lucky to be in it in that regard. But they found a moment which is really emotionally and sort of philosophically the right moment for the original Reed Richards. So I sort of hand it off to Reed, and I'm in a happy way, and I'm talking about the kid and something like it. Needless to say, plans are underway at the Baxter Building under the eyes of Reed Richards, boom, boom, that kind of thing, okay? It could have been done by anybody. But the fact that they wanted it done by me meant a lot. Of course. And I realized when we got there that we're really part of the publicity machine, whatever comes to pass, if they do a behind the scenes or they'll do a director, no, they won't do a director's cut, but they'll do something with added bonus material on Disney Plus or something like that. Sure. There'll be a few minutes of, and the day we had the old crew back, and God bless us, we don't need walkers, and we, we're 35 years ago, but there's still 4 of us there. So being a part of again, helping them, not so much solve a problem, but helping them achieve some level of balance with their property, with their Fantastic Four, and being a part of that, and then them finding room for me in the movie and making nice friends there. That's kind of like what my book's about in a way. It's the perils of what can happen in between jobs, and also the unexpected joys of what can happen in between jobs. And this wasn't a job. It was an opportunity that was 35 years in the making, Yeah. But being recognized by, again, what I think is an extremely well-run organization, had tremendous value to me.
They have always been so good about doing that kind of thing, like making sure Easter eggs and stuff like that are in there for people who are in love with these characters and have been for years. Do you know what I mean? It's something that I don't think has always been done, but if you're a diehard Marvel fan, you're going to sit there and have a far more different experience than somebody who's just kind of coming in off the street to watch a film. So many little things in there for you. And your guys being in there, my God, like how cool is that? Like the
it was Matt. It was Matt Shankman, I think, who really. But of course, look, nothing gets out alive if Kevin Feige doesn't want it. So it was Kevin at the premiere. I talked to him for several minutes. When mutual friends and mutual experiences when he was starting his career with Lauren Schuler Donner. He was one of the associate producers on, I guess, the first Fantastic Four movie that she produced. Well, I knew Dick Donner, her husband, the director, worked with him, and he was a bit of a friend. And having these connections, and they're all great. Like Stephen, when I would met him in his younger days, he was a great fan of film and enjoyed the process of it, and enjoyed being responsible for his corner of the industry. And I got the same impression from Kevin and Marvel.
How cool. Now, here's a question for you. You were talking a little bit ago about recently touring the MCU or Marvel campus, rather.
Yeah.
You said something about going through costumes. Do you think there's any way, since the MCU or Disney has acquired all these properties, do you think there's any way like your guys' original costumes are anywhere in their archives anywhere?
I doubt it.
Or any idea where they might be? I
think Rebecca had kept in touch with the wardrobe, the costume designer who passed away a few years ago. And I think that he said that they either melted on their own or were pilfered. So I don't know. I still have the one of the Thing heads, the head for the Thing. There were two of them. One of them had the mouth, which was moving in the dialogue. And then there was another, which was a stunt head. And they gave me the stunt head. The boys at Optic Nerve, John Vulich and his partner Everett Burrell, who created Optic Nerve, who were great special effects guys. They built the suit, and they let me have the prop head, which I used to bring to comic conventions and stuff.
It's funny. I'm sorry.
Stuff like that's still around. Yeah,
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize. But I've just seen pictures of you guys at conventions in the past, and I've seen that Thing head on the table. That's yours. That's incredible.
Yeah, it is. Pensacon, Pensacola, Florida, has a wonderful convention in February called Pensacon, and the Thing head will be making an appearance.
We might have to go down to Florida, Jack.
Yeah.
It would be so cool to catch up with you, say hi.
It's there's also, you'll know a lot of people there. It's a really neat convention run by a fellow named Mike Ensley, who basically started it here about 15 years ago, and it's amazing. It's a funky town, Pensacola. It's got a really nice counterculture vibe about it.
Yeah.
Which, me in counterculture. Come on, I grew up in Palm Springs in the 60s, 70s.
Too bad my aunt doesn't live down there anymore, because we don't have a place to stay.
Oh, I forgot about that. You're right.
Now she's in boring old Indiana.
Give her some shit for me, would you?
I will.
Okay, thank you. Really quick before we let you loose, Alex, I was very curious in obtaining an autographed copy of your book. I'm happy to pay, obviously, for it. Is that a possibility or no?
Yeah, let me think. Where is it? Yeah, I got a couple right here. This is the cover, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm going to keep that there, and then I'll let you put in a little chyron, available wherever books and audiobooks are sold.
Nice.
But yes, I'd love to send you a copy, and there's just a list price. I think it's $25 or something like that for a soft cover, $40 or something for the hardcover. But I'd love to send you a copy. So if you email me an address, I'll sign one. And I don't expect you to buy Jack one, but if you do, I'll sign two of them.
That's up to Jack to fork up his share.
Yeah.
But, I can do it. Definitely.
For Jack's aunt, now that she doesn't live in Pensacola anymore, she can spring for a couple of books.
Yeah, she owes me.
Yeah, it's her time to pay up.
No, you'd like it. It's when you're in this lane, you do this show, you celebrate pop culture with a smart, slightly rose-colored look at the past. And that's what the past is there. It's to be fondly remembered because, the things that we get entertained by or engage with or inspired by, they sort of help to negate the things that piss us off when we're growing up,
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's very much what my book is about. The joys of, I guess, living in a random world, and there's nothing more random than auditioning for a living. And occasionally you get a phone call from wardrobe wanting to know your sizes, and that's when you know you're working.
Yeah. Oh man, we will be sure to send some money your way and get those books. I am so excited, man. I love reading books about behind the scenes stories. We've been doing it now, Jack, for about 12, 13 years. And it's so much better. It's like the next step to any good movie or a television show. That's the first love, is watching it and falling in love with the actual film. Yeah. And it's the behind the scenes and learning how it was done and all that stuff that makes me fall in love with it. So I'm so excited to read your book.
Well, and then you're amassing your own stories, There'll come a time fairly soon in the future where, the pioneers of the podcast are going to deserve a space for their stories to be told, because, in those 12 or 13 years you've been doing it, there's probably, 12 or 13,000 more people who are trying to do it,
Oh, yeah.
And I know that it's all about niche audience right now, but man, oh man, an unlimited ether space brings with it great peril. I mean, it's probably like trying to enter Saturn's outer gravitational field and not run into a rock,
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
So how you navigate, and how you get people's ants to help you get that license or whatever you guys need to do, It's the same way for independent filmmaking. I mean,
Sure.
It's patronage. It's the same, but in Shakespeare's time, long before. It would be the Earl of Southampton liked Kit Marlowe or William Shakespeare, and probably not because he was a writer. Okay,
Well, you're probably right. I hope that we get to a point where we have enough stories to put a book together, because that would be pretty cool. I've never even thought about that as a possibility, but you're right. We do this long enough. Who knows?
And you always
We've got some stories too. I don't know about a book worth, but
you always find out something more about your subject. And I'm sure there's a story about how you carried on in a typhoon or during a blackout, or, if not, those are always good episodes. It's always, I just think when you're in this world of pop culture, whether you're buying or selling, that you're on, whatever side of the river you're on, the view of the river being this stream of digital entertainment or nostalgia, whatever side of the river you're on, it's a unique point of view. And, don't underestimate the value of your experiences. You're not just here to report it. You're not just here to retell it. You're here to chronicle it. When you chronicle, you end up being a philosopher.
Man, you've given me something to think about.
All right.
Truly.
So Jack, put that in your pipe and smoke it. Not that you would ever consider doing such a thing.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Well, Alex, I want to thank you so much taking time to talk to us tonight. This has been an honor to talk to the original Reed Richards. What an honor.
Thanks, guys.
So,
great. Now I know some people in Ohio.
Yeah,
there you go.
If you're ever in Columbus, let us know. We'd love to come out.
Where I am, Carrollton. I know it's a town that no one's ever heard of, but apparently it's a little village near Akron. So I might be out there in January, and if I am, find out, because I might need rescuing.
Okay, sure. You said it's a film being done out there?
It's an independent film. Yes.
Okay. Well,
and the producer guaranteed that she personally will pick me up and drive me from the airport around to the location. So that I'm scared stiff now. So. I said, don't they have a rental car agency? Anyway.
Right. Let's hope she's not a smoker.
I'm talking crap now. So anyway. Okay. Yeah, really. Let's hope she's not a smoker. Yeah. Or if she is, I hope she goes by Jack's place first.
Right. Thank you so much, Alex.
All right, lads. God bless you. Thanks a lot.
You
Thanks
too. Thank
laughs.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, everyone, and once again, that was our conversation with Alex Hyde-White. I want to thank him so much for taking time to be here. Come on, Jack, another one in the bag, another great episode.
Absolutely, yes.
You know what was occurring to me as we were talking to him that would be so cool? You know, we were talking about how the MCU, like Kevin Feige and all of them, are so good at paying tribute to what's come before, what's built the properties that they are, making these awesome movies out of. It occurred to me, like, how cool it would have been in The Void, in Deadpool and Wolverine, had we seen Alex as Mr. Fantastic somewhere, or like Lou Ferrigno's Hulk, or like the old television Captain America with the motorcycle helmet, or something like that. You know?
Hey, maybe the what is the Doom World movie coming up? Avengers.
Oh,
Doomsday.
yeah, because they will end up probably going back there. I've heard that the Void is going to be, what the speculation is the Void will be Battle World for Secret Wars.
Yeah. Yep.
So
maybe that's why the OG Fantastic Four movie, you can't find it on the internet because they're gonna pull stuff from it.
Son, see, Canned Air gets to the bottom of shit right here in front of your eyes. We don't even do it behind the scenes; it happens right in front of you guys. See how lucky you are.
Yeah.
I want to stop saying that kind of shit, but but that would be cool. That would be really cool. There's still opportunity to do it. It's not a missed opportunity. It can still happen.
Yeah, they're still filming it right now. I mean, there's still post-production too. So,
hear that, Marvel? Canned Air's serving it up. You just have to eat it up.
We'll send you our address for payment.
Yeah, we expect it promptly. Oh my God. But once again, we want to thank Alex and encourage you to check out his book. Go over to alexhyde-white.com, where you can just learn more about Alex, and you can get yourself a copy of the book. You can find him on Instagram at Alex Hyde-White, and punchandroll.com. Punch Audio being his audiobook recording company. We're going to put all these links and handles in the description below so you can get to them easily. But check out that book. I can't wait to get our copy. I am so excited to read it.
Yep.
And that cover, man, the cover of the book is pretty
great.
Damn cool, too. It's him as Mr. Fantastic, but done in that old school comic vibe, as you guys just saw. But, you know, we have an audio audience that didn't see anything. So if you're wondering what we talk about, come over to the YouTube. Come on over. But I think that's going to do it for this episode, unless I missed anything, Jack.
Nope, that's it.
I think that's going to do it. So, Jack, tell these people what they can find on our website, sir.
Go to cannedairpodcast.com, where you can check out the latest episode, find links to go to all our episodes, get some merch, become a patron, see some of our past big-name guests, I guess you would call them. I don't know if that works or not.
Yeah, that works. They are definitely big names. Some of our high-profile guests.
High profile. There we go. And if you'd like to be a guest and promote your work, send us an email on our contacts page.
And don't forget to find us on social media, on Instagram at canned_air, and on TikTok at Canned Air Podcast, and on the website Jack was just talking about, cannedairpodcast.com. A few ways for you to support us: Patreon tab and a merch tab. You can either get a t-shirt, mug, hat, hoodie, that kind of thing. If having extra stuff is your game, that's where you go. If you just want more content, head over to our Patreon, where we 5+ year catalog of behind the scenes. We were just talking about behind the scenes with Alex about how, I find that kind of stuff more enriching. You're not going to get much more behind the scenes in our Patreon. No. See what's going on that the normies aren't privy to. Come on, it's only $5 a month, people. And, we've only been on YouTube. We've been on YouTube for years, but it's only been within the past couple years that we're really trying to cultivate it. Make sure every episode ends up on YouTube. But for about 10 years before that, it was strictly audio. And that catalog is still out there with lots and lots of great episodes, great guests. So be sure to find us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast. You should be able to find us. And last but certainly not least, the Evergreen Podcast Network, evergreenpodcast.com. the network we've been on for a while now with the many other great shows. So be sure to check them out. And Jack, I think that's it. Am I right?
I got the boxes. They're all checked.
Yes. I don't know why, but we've been doing this for 13 years. And then when we get to this point of the episode, I always feel like I left something out. I can't explain it, but it happens every time. But since I haven't, I want to thank you all so much for watching. Be excellent to each other.